Okay, so this is just a conversation, and I hope to do my best to really ask the questions that you would ask, and to be your voice. I'm just here in the shadows, we are in this crazy transition, Natalie, from a generation of Holocaust survivors, and which is just really another notch in Jewish history of trauma and PTSD and dealing with it and growing from it, and from Holocaust and pogroms, Chilniki pogroms all over Ukraine, and expulsions from Spain and inquisitions and destructions of temples 2 times over, and all the other things. This is it, and you all. This is the generation now that is owning this new wave, new trauma, new challenge to us as an immortal people, but we need you to help us, and really, really grateful that you're here. I want to just start really just asking, like, you're a really nice, great Persian Jewish girl from Great Neck, like a little bit about your family background and just how you ended up really being in there at that time.
Well, hi everybody. I'm Natalie. I'm a Persian girl from Great Neck. I am born to an Israeli mother and an Iranian father. One thing I want to say about that is I've done many interviews since this attack on Israel, and one of my interviews was with a Greek news channel. And the host asked me a question. He thought he had done enough research on me, and he thought that he had me figured out. And he had asked me, I did some research on you, and I see that you're not just Israeli, but you're also Iranian. How does it feel to have your countries hate each other? Does that cause a lot of kind of cognitive dissonance within you? And I kind of just laughed at him, and I was like, you thought you did your research, but you obviously didn't do enough research. Because if you really did your research, you would know that I'm first and foremost a Jew, an Iranian Jew. And my family had to escape Iran before the revolution, because they knew the revolution was coming. They saw what happened to the Eastern European Jews with the Holocaust, and they didn't want that to happen to them. They fled Iran, just like the Moroccan Jews fled Morocco, just like the Syrian Jews fled, just like the Iraqi Jews fled, just like the Egyptian Jews fled. We have one country. We have one tiny piece of land within all the Middle East, and we're going to stay there, and we're never leaving. And he obviously was pretty silent after that.
Yeah. I think that speaks to a point, which is, everyone's here because you're like your family to us, right? To everyone. Like that's what this whole thing is creating. It's creating probably a sense of certainly a peoplehood, but if you want to take Jewish peoplehood and translate it into Jewish language, it's family. And we unfortunately are very frightened by how little people out there get it. And Natalie, we're sitting here screaming at the world, please understand, don't you understand? I've been teaching at Penn for 14 years. Please understand what's going on, and talk about tone deaf or deaf ears. We're not getting the approbation, we're not getting the consolation, even though there are many voices that are with us, but we all feel that the street is not with us, and so it's a great indication that people out there aren't getting it.
Yeah.
Tell us, first of all, you had a job. You have a job. What were you doing before, and why did you end up in Israel at the Nova Festival?
So since I was born, I've been going to Israel almost every year, if not once a year, sometimes twice a year. Because of COVID, I hadn't been in Israel for about 4 years, which was a very long time for me. Which I feel very fortunate. I know a lot of Jews spend a lot of their life, had never been to Israel, and their first time going to Israel was birthright, but I was very fortunate to be going to Israel my entire life. I went this summer for a friend's wedding, and I decided to stay for at least a month, be there for the holidays, be with my family, be with my friends. As someone who goes to a lot of house music events, all over the world, wherever I go on vacation, if there's an event, you'll see me there. I was planning on going to this festival before I even got to Israel. It's a pretty big event. As most of you know, there were thousands of people there. And the day of the event, I won't go too much into the details of what happened. I think we all already know what happened there. But me and 3 friends arrived at this event. We arrived at around 1 a.m. We danced for a little bit. We interacted with other people. We were having a great time. Everyone there just came to have a good time, you know. And at around 3, we decided to go back to our campsite, which was on the event grounds, and take a nap for a little bit and wake up for the sunrise of the festival, which was supposed to be the best part. And at around 6:30 is when the first rockets were sent our way and intercepted overhead. And one of the girls from our campsite came to wake us up. I came to the festival with 3 friends who are all Israeli. I was one of the only Americans there. And when she woke us up, she was very calm. She just came over to say, hey, I just want to let you guys know a few rockets were intercepted overhead, but it should be fine. It'll probably be like 4 or 5, maybe 6. Like, it'll pass. Like, the party's going to continue. I just wanted you guys to be awake and alert. And I just tried to, like, imagine to myself if I was at a party in Brooklyn and suddenly rockets are being intercepted overhead. I couldn't imagine any American kid reacting as calmly as this girl reacted. But that's one of the sad parts, is that this is a reality for our brothers and sisters in Israel. This is something they go through all the time. They've been in bomb shelters countless times in their lives. But as one of the only Americans there, you know, I tried to look at their reaction and look at their faces and kind of just stay calm and react as they were reacting. But after a few minutes, we started to realize that this wasn't just any other normal situation. This wasn't just going to be 4, 5, 6 rockets. The rockets kept coming. Eventually, the festival security shut off the music, asked us all to evacuate to our cars. And things just snowballed from there, and we all know kind of what direction it went in.
Give us a sense of, like, who was at this concert? Like, what you know, I'm not a house music kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm from, like, you know, I went to Grateful Dead concerts.
Yeah.
My whole, like, it's a different thing. I'm sure there are lots of similarities. The colors I saw were very similar, right? But give us a sense of what the atmosphere was like, what the camaraderie was like there for you.
As someone who came there only knowing 3 people, I met so many people that night in those few hours that I was actually awake. They were just so friendly and so loving. For anyone here who goes to these types of events, this specific type of event is called Mesibat Teva, a nature party. And generally the people who go to these events are kind of hippie-ish, very loving. It's not like going to a regular nightclub where people are snobby. Everyone's very accepting. I remember as soon as I got to the campsite, usually when you meet new girls at a party and you're like the outsider, like the other girls don't like you like right off the bat, and I was almost expecting that for a second, and automatically I sat down and like all the girls were like, what's your name? Where are you from? Who are you? Like, have some snacks. And the hardest thing is knowing that some of those girls, some of the kids that I met that night did not survive. But that's kind of the general vibe of these types of events. The reason why it's called a peace party is because it's about bringing peace. It's about bringing people together. It's about showing love. It's about being accepting. And for an attack like this to happen at an event like this just makes it all the more painful.
You know, we don't. The details, and you know, we're dealing with, it's not only, it's a crazy thing, we all know the insanity, of course, of people who videoed what they were doing and posted it, and like even certain elements in the world don't even want to believe the videos. Like, they're not like we feel bad, you know, it's like, it's a joke. They're trying to get the world to watch what they did, you know, and other people are turning a blind eye to it and don't want to make it. Even in the UN today, it's not the vacuum that they did. I mean, there's no one listening out there to us. We feel alone. And we don't want to go into too many of those details, the sensationalism that the world is, the voyeurism, the almost, you know, pornography of what people are, how they're ravishing the available content. but we want to know what you went through and what happened. So give us a little bit of just the play-by-play, a little bit of how you went from there and how you got to safety.
So from there, once the festival security shut off the music and asked everyone to evacuate to their cars, we still had no idea how severe the situation was. At this point, we thought it was just rockets. We thought, okay, we have the Iron Dome. It's going to intercept most, if not all, of the rockets. And our biggest fear was maybe the scraps from these rockets falling on our cars as we're driving out of the festival grounds. So we're walking to our car, and I asked my friends, like, hey, do you think I can go use the bathroom on the way out? Because in my head, I was like, okay, thousands of kids, hundreds of cars, one dirt road, we're gonna be stuck in traffic, should probably go use the bathroom first. And they were like, yeah, sure, we're gonna wait for you by the car. I went to the bathrooms, came back to the car, and in that moment, I didn't realize how close I was to being in danger, to my life being at risk going to those bathrooms. But a few days ago, a video had surfaced. Like you said, the terrorists basically live streamed everything they did, and people still don't want to believe it. And they're like, oh, it's AI, it's like fake news, whatever. But they posted a video of themselves coming to those exact bathrooms moments after I was there and just shooting at every bathroom stall, trying to kill anyone who was hiding inside. And when I saw someone post that video on Instagram, I was like, oh my God, I was in those bathrooms not too long before that. And that was one of the moments where I really realized how close I was to death.
Are you still realizing how close it was? I mean, you would think at the time you probably realize it. You're watching the video a week later and saying, oh my goodness, I was actually really that close. I mean, what is this? Is there a process that's unfolding for you? I'm sorry to be personal, but
no,
is there
don't
a
worry about
process
it.
that's unfolding for you in a sense in telling the story and this discovery for you?
I think a part of what a lot of people have been saying to me is that one reaction, a type of reaction your body can have to trauma is kind of making you feel desensitized and disassociated from what you went through. And I feel like I'm still going through that, where I'm just kind of in a state of shock and a bit disassociated from it all. It feels as if I'm telling somebody else's story in a way. I do think that dissociation gives me the power to tell my story over and over again and make people hear it and tell it on every news channel that invites me to come speak without breaking down every time. I think eventually it'll hit me, but in the meantime, I consider it my little superpower.
Yeah. Are you reading stories of other survivors from, in Bay Area? Are you connecting to their stories because they're all coming out now? Do you find yourself being able to read them and hear them, or do you find yourself needing to keep them at bay?
I think the hardest thing for me is reading other stories and seeing videos and photos of other kids who either didn't make it out or have been taken hostage. It does make me more emotional hearing their stories than hearing my own story.
So you're in the car driving away, and you got turned around. So tell us what happened there.
Yeah, so the festival security, number one, I would like to say, a lot of people have asked, do you think they did enough? They did their best to get us out alive. Most of them died trying to do their job and really protect us. They asked us to drive in a certain direction, and then eventually they started asking everyone to turn around, drive in another direction. That's one of the moments where we started to get a little bit nervous. And then eventually they start yelling at us to pull our cars over to the side of the dirt road and get out and start running.
How many people in your car?
It was me and 3 other people.
Okay, and what do you mean they said? How did you hear them telling you to get out?
So the festival security was on golf carts, driving on the side of the roads, almost
because you see the picture of the cars
they were almost like sheep herders. They were trying to herd all of us in the right direction. So they were driving on the sides, just yelling at everyone and giving them directions. And they eventually asked everyone, they started yelling at everyone pull over, get out of your cars, run. And we still had no idea that there were terrorists on foot so close to us with guns. We still thought it was just the rockets. So we couldn't comprehend why are they telling us to get out and run.
Do you know about what time this was?
I think
the rockets started around 6:30 in the morning.
I think this was around maybe 7:15, somewhere around there, 7:15, 7:30, something like that. So they told us to pull over, and we listened to them, even though we're a bit confused. And then a few seconds, we're just like sitting in the car, and a few seconds after we pull over is when we heard the first gunshots.
Right.
And as soon as we heard the first gunshots, we just like all looked at each other, opened our doors, and started running. Kids were running in every direction. Nobody knew what direction would take them to safety, which we later found out that there really was no direction of safety. The terrorists were coming from multiple directions and closing in on us. One of the most terrifying moments was like running in a specific direction with my 3 friends and thinking that we're running to safety and thinking that we're going to the right place, and then seeing dozens of other kids running in our direction and realizing that they're running from a terrorist, they're running from being shot at, and you now have to make a split-second decision and run in another direction, and you don't know what direction is either going to get you killed or save your life.
You had a decision, another decision
Yes.
to make just then.
So another decision that almost got us killed was we passed by a ditch, and there were a number of kids hiding in this ditch, and they told us, come hide with us, like get down. And we started climbing into the ditch, we started going down, and then one of my friends was like, no, this is a bad idea. If the terrorists come from above us, we're sitting ducks, like we'll have nowhere to run, they're gonna kill us. And
What's going through you're a Jewish girl from Great Neck. You're not Israeli like that. You didn't grow up with this. Like, what's going? Are you in panic mode? Are you cut? Are you like cold and numb? Like, what's going through your mind right now?
I was honestly in a state of shock from the moment they woke me up and I heard the first rockets. I remember like looking up and seeing the rocket being intercepted and like hearing the boom. And I just remember looking at my friend, and he was like, "You're good. You're fine. You're not panicking. You're gonna be okay." And I was like, okay, whatever you say. Like I just like listened to anything he said. I was just like, okay, you're saying don't panic, I won't panic.
Right.
And I understood that he felt a sense of responsibility, like to make sure I was good. So I had to act good. I had to not panic, because panicking was just going to slow us down. That would get us killed. So I was just in a state of shock the entire time.
You decided not to go there, and you just ran for it.
Yeah, we kept running. We later found out that the kids who did stay behind and hid in the ditch were shot and killed.
You have shoes on?
Yeah.
When you're running? Yeah.
I was wearing combat boots,
Okay.
actually. They're obviously destroyed. A lot of kids were barefoot. Listen, we were at a festival. We were not dressed to be running from terrorists.
So how long did you run? I mean, the bullets are flying, and you hear them, and you don't know which way you're going.
Yeah, you couldn't even tell. Like, I've never heard bullets before. Like,
Right.
typically in Great Neck, you don't hear bullets.
She moved to Queens.
But when you hear the whistle of the bullet flying past you, you can't even really tell what direction it's coming from. It felt like it was coming from all directions. So you couldn't really tell.
How long you ran for at that point? How long were you running?
In total, we ran/walked about 4 hours. Anytime we didn't hear bullets for a few minutes, we tried to catch our breath, slow down a little bit.
How many are we at that stage? How many are you running with?
So it was the 3 of us, and it was constantly different people that we were like running into, like different groups of people. Sometimes it was like 15 people. At a certain point, we got to another road, like an actual like paved road. And I have photos. It looked like the Exodus of Egypt. It was like hundreds of kids just walking down the same road.
Wow. And were there people that said, let's go to this particular town? Where did you think you were heading?
At a certain point, we thought walking down this paved road was a bad idea, because walking with so many other kids, we thought that we would make ourselves an easier target. But at a certain point, we ran into a police officer who was there on his own. He couldn't even call for backup because the terrorists had taken over the local police station and taken over their radio. And we could hear the terrorists like yelling on his walkie-talkie, on his radio. And we asked him, what direction are we supposed to go in? Like, give us like some type of advice. And he was like, walk in the direction of the sun. And in that direction was the town of Patish, which was the town where we later found refuge. So we kept walking in that direction. Along the way, we passed by, at certain points there were like I don't know what to call it, like water fountains of sorts. It was like a big fountain, and it wasn't like necessarily clean water to drink from. But every time we passed by one, like all the hundreds of kids would start lining up and just splash their face, because obviously we've been running in the sun for hours. At a certain point, we passed by like a field of oranges, and I later found out that there were some girls that hid in those fields for hours, either just playing dead or trying to hide and make sure the terrorists don't find them.
Now, your mom called.
Yes. My mom, an Israeli mom living in America, she is glued to the Israeli news every day, all day. She wakes up multiple times in the night and constantly watches the news. And she called me at around 8 a.m. Israel time, which at this point I think we've been running for about half an hour from the gunshots. And I thought to myself, okay, if I don't answer her, like I know she's calling me because she saw the news. And if I don't answer her, she's gonna start to get worried, and I didn't want to worry her. So I picked up the phone and was like, "Hi, Ma." And she was like, "Oh, like, have you seen the news? Do you know what's happening? Are you safe?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I think I heard something on the news. I'm safe, I'm good, don't worry." And then the gunshots start going off again, and kids are screaming, and rockets are being intercepted overhead, and I didn't want her to hear all of that. So I was like, "Oh, like, we're driving, like, I have bad reception, I'll call you later." And I didn't call her back to tell her that I was there until after we had gotten to safety.
Did you think that that could be the last conversation with your mother? Did that cross your mind?
It was a weird feeling, but I asked my friend that I was there at the party with as well, and I kind of asked him, I'm like, "Did you ever fear that we were gonna die?" And he was like, "No, I felt like God was watching us the entire time." And I kind of had that same feeling inside. It was this weird feeling of like not thinking I'm gonna die. I didn't think that this was the end. There was one moment where I thought that it might be the end, and I'll get to that, but generally throughout all this running, it felt a little bit like an out-of-body experience. It felt like I was watching myself run from these bullets. I couldn't believe that it was happening to me in the moment.
What were you and your friends, what were the conversations? I mean, so that's a half an hour. Your mom calls in. You're going to be running and walking for another 3.5 hours until you're finally, thank God, rescued. What were some of the conversations that you were having?
Obviously, I mean, these are Israeli kids who have gone through this a lot, and if anyone knows Israelis, they find a way to find anything comical. They'll be able to laugh at almost anything, and like as we're running, they're just cracking jokes. They're like, "Ugh, these assholes, why are they doing this to us? We're just trying to have fun." And they're just like cracking jokes here and there along the way. Some people are crying, some people are hysterical. And then like we're just trying to comfort the people who are like crying and hysterical, give them a hug even if we don't know them personally. Some of us grabbed water from our cars before we started running, and we're just sharing water with each other, trying to comfort each other. But yeah, anyone who knows Israelis, you know that they're resilient people, and they can find the humor in just about anything.
So you didn't get to Patish yourself, you walked for hours here.
Yeah, so we kept walking, and after about 4 hours, we hadn't heard gunshots in a few minutes, and we decided to sit under a tree and get some shade from the sun and take a little bit of a rest. We were sitting with maybe like 10, 15 other kids, and then suddenly we see this white pickup truck driving in our direction. Everyone that was sitting under the tree, we all had the same first reaction, was that the reaction was like, "Oh, this is a terrorist coming to kill us." And I just like looked around and I saw that like all of us kind of like half got up thinking like, "Oh, let's run." And then like we all kind of like smirked at each other and realized like, where are we gonna run to? Like this guy's in a car, we're on foot, like we have nowhere to hide. And we kind of just like all sat down and like looked at each other and we're like, okay, like this is the end. That was like the one time where I was like, okay, like that's it.
Do you mind if can I go there with you for a second?
Yeah.
Like what was that like for you? Was it that, oh, okay, this is it? I mean, that's a heck of a place to be in life when you're 28.
Yeah.
You know, can I take you there for a second? Are you able to go there with us?
I think we were all in shock. Like none of us were hysterical, none of us were crying. We just like kind of all looked at each other and we're like, okay, well, this was a nice ride. Like it was nice knowing you. and just sat back down, and we like just didn't move. We just like watched it come at us.
And so this truck came, and when did you start to believe that it might not be the end?
So only when it really got close to us did we realize that there was a girl in the front seat that had the festival wristband on, and that's when we realized that this was someone coming to save us. And I hardly even got a chance to look at his face. I've actually been trying to find him, and a few people have been sending me photos of different people from the town of Patish that this was the town that we were told to run to. There were multiple people that left that town and came towards all this chaos to save kids. So people have been like sending me different posts, and I'm hopefully going to get in touch with him to thank him personally for saving my life. But he just told us to get in the back of the pickup truck, and we all jumped in, and he drove us to safety.
And then you called your mom.
No, I didn't call my mom. I still didn't feel fully safe until we got back to my family friend's house. But once we got to Patish, they put us in the bomb shelter in the center of the town, like the local bomb shelter, I guess. And it was Saturday, so the people of Patish, they really all came together to take care of us. They brought us water, they brought us snacks, they brought us chamin, they brought us jachnun. They really took care of all of us, and they were amazing.
The Ashkenazim in the room.
Chamin is chillin'. But they really took care of us, and they were really amazing.
And was it just your group that was in Patish, or were there others that?
No, there were hundreds of kids. There were hundreds of kids.
And the army was there when you got there?
It maybe took like another hour until we saw any soldiers.
Just out of, I mean, you're a celebrity for the wrong reasons, but you're doing a phenomenal job of representing and speaking, and I will talk about that in a second.
Thank you.
But you have access, obviously, to a lot of information. I'm assuming, could be I'm wrong, but have you been afforded any insight into actually what took the army so long? What have you been able to go there? Are people searching for answers? Are you getting answers that we're not getting?
So even as we were running, we were like getting information. People were sending us like updates on what was happening in the kibbutz, what was happening all over us. Some people say that Iran did a cyber attack on Israel and like messed with the cameras, and that's how they were able to get over the border. That's how they were able to get into that army base and take over an entire army base.
Are you personally looking for answers? I mean, like, we're going to find out eventually whether it was or it wasn't. But, and we're all in this great murky phase of doubt where we're just suspending our disbelief that how could it be, and was it a perfect storm, and why God, and all the questions.
I'm not so much looking for answers. I'm more so trying to find the solutions of how to get past this and how to be there for the people that I know that went through this, that lost friends, people that I know who survived, who have now re-enlisted in the army and are risking their lives all over again. I'm more so looking for solutions of how all of us can get past this and be there for each other, as opposed to asking why. And
just, again, personally, if you don't mind, you coming here and telling your story, I mean, I know you want to help and you want to share. Is it cathartic for you? Is it you have a need? What's it doing for you to come? You're speaking everywhere. It's amazing what you're doing. He has the superhuman energy. You're saying he's like a superwoman. But like, what's it doing for you? Think like cathartically.
I think it does help to speak about it. I don't know how I would feel if I wasn't speaking about it. Maybe I would be more sad. Maybe I would be more stressed out. I think maybe it is helping me to share my story and speak about it and hear the stories of others and connect with others who went through what I went through.
And what do you hope is, I mean, you've been on pretty much every major news, from local New York Post to international, national news and international news and the Greek news. What is your hope in telling your story many times a day already? And you don't seem to be lacking luster for it, in a sense. You seem to be very invigorated by being here, at least. And so, what's your hope in trying to say as much as you can, as often as you can, in the stage?
Honestly, like, one of my main hopes is making America and making people in power understand. I also went to DC. I spoke to some of our senators. And I want them to understand how much Jews are in fear right now. how much anti-Semitism we're dealing with, and the fact that they need to take action. Something I mentioned in some of my interviews was, as a Persian girl growing up in Great Neck, I never really dealt with anti-Semitism growing up. I always felt very much part of a community, and I felt very normal. The most typical thing you could be in Great Neck is a Jew who's either Israeli or Persian, and I was both. I was like the most boring thing that you could be in Great Neck.
You have a podcast.
Yes.
I'm sure now it's going to be huge, right? What's the title of your podcast?
Persian Girl Podcast.
Persian Girl Podcast.
And it's two Jewish Persian girls talking about what it's like growing up as a Jew and being Persian in America. And I never really dealt with anti-Semitism growing up, and seeing my friends take the mezuzot off their doors in order to protect their home, which is so ironic because that's something you put on your doorway to protect your home.
Protection, yeah.
And it reminded me one time when I was in college and I went to visit family friends in France, and I forget if it was like a Magen David or a Hamsa necklace, and when we went on the train, my family friend told me, like, tuck that under your shirt. And I couldn't understand why. She was like, well, if somebody sees that, they might start to harass you and they might try to hurt you. And now that I'm seeing that that's happening in New York, and especially New York being the largest Jewish community in America, I want our officials, I want them to understand that our lives are being threatened and that they need to take this more seriously. In France, they've made it a criminal offense to go out and protest and threaten the lives of Jews and call for their genocide, and that's something that they need to do here. And I hope, because if I'm going to be completely honest, a lot of my friends have said, you coming out and speaking on news channels, anyone, like you said, anyone who doesn't want to believe the truth isn't going to believe it. They see videos of all of the slaughter, of the rape of these Jews, and they still say that it's fake. So me coming out and speaking probably won't change their mind. But I'm hoping that if I come out and speak, that we get more attention, and that government officials feel that they need to do something, that they need to take charge, and they need to. One government official, Cuomo, he said, like, for anyone who's here on a visa, you're not even an American citizen. We let you into this country and we could take you out. And we need more people on our side. We need more people like him who are going to speak up and make a change, because we need to be protected. Because even me, putting my name out there, being on the news, in a sense, I do feel like I'm putting myself at risk. But on the other hand, I feel that if I let them take my Judaism from me, if I'm alive, but I'm not outwardly a Jew, am I really alive? If I let them take that away from me, then I'm just letting them win. And that's something that we can't let them do. We can't let them make us want to hide our Judaism. We need to speak out. We need to be loud. We need to say, yes, I am Jewish. But we also don't want to put our lives at risk, and we need to be protected.
And what do you see in a room like this? What do you hope speaking to us can do for us?
What I hope from a night like this is, I hope it gives you more faith that we're going to be okay. Because we've been through this before. We've been attacked and we always came out stronger. That's what all of our holidays are about, right? Passover, they tried to destroy us. Now we eat crackers for a week. Hanukkah, they tried to destroy us. We eat jelly donuts. All of our holidays are based on the fact that they tried to destroy us and we came out stronger than ever, and we're gonna come out stronger than ever. I had a friend who told me that he spoke to a travel agent and he asked her, like, you must be so busy right now with all the flights wanting to leave Israel. And she said, yeah, I am very busy, but I'm even busier with all the flights going into Israel. Israel has had so many people re-enlist in the army to protect our country that they don't even have enough weapons. But look at all the people who have been sending them weapons. Like, that just shows how resilient we are, and we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna get through this. And that's what I want people to get from this night.
A couple more, if you don't mind. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Do you see? No, yeah, we still got it. I don't even. It's not a. We Jews look for blessing in everything, and as a person who's been to Poland too many times, more than I can count, I run trips to Poland. Holocaust history and education is a great part of what I do and what motivates me. We don't look. It's too soon to look for silver linings, but like your positivity and is really infectious, and we all need that, and we're getting that from you right now. You know, can you help us see a little light in this? What are you seeing out there? Forget the news cameras. Forget ABC, NBC. Help us see a little light in this darkness.
Well, one thing I would like to say is I asked a friend of mine who's currently in Israel, like, what's it like in Israel right now? And one thing he did say is, though the morale is very low and people kind of like walk around with their heads a little bit down right now, he did say it's so beautiful to finally see our country united again, because they've been so divided for so long. And it's sad that it took something like this to make us united again, but he really said it's truly so beautiful to see everyone come together again and be one country, one Am. And, you know, someone asked, like, if the Holocaust didn't happen, would we have Israel? And some people answer, if we had Israel, would the Holocaust have happened? The thing is, we'll never know the answer to that, but maybe from this, obviously I wouldn't say this on a news channel, but maybe from this we will get some land back. Maybe from this we will get what we deserve as a nation.
Well, the unity for sure is something we've been missing for a long time, as you and I were talking about before. You said you felt that you were going to survive and you were protected. You know, they say there's no atheist in a foxhole. You know, you're a Persian girl, right? So maybe were you talking to Hashem, to God? Were you?
Oh, definitely. As I was running, I was saying Shema Yisrael over and over and over again, hoping that he heard me. I think he did.
He heard, yeah. It's very interesting because after this, it's a real, you know, it's hard to follow this, but we do have Tapestry tonight. It's about learning Torah. It's about learning who we are and connecting to our history. So I'm gonna teach about the Shema, because I felt like that's. I saw a story of a guy, of a Jew there. He's not religious at all, and the only way he was able to determine whether the people knocking at the door, because the terrorists, they were dressed as IDF soldiers, some of them, and they used, they spoke Hebrew. They would try and draw you out from the safe rooms. And so he had asked someone to finish the sentence Shema Yisrael, and when the person said in proper Hebrew Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, they opened the door. He knew it was safe, and he said, "I never said Shema. I'm not a religious person, but this is, the parallels to the Holocaust we're getting, as you spoke about, Barry, as well, from your childhood, from your experiences, and there are people, a lot of people's names we don't like to mention because they are the great enemies of the Jewish people. But Adolf Eichmann, when he was in captivity, he said the Shema. He knew how to say the Shema, right? Because he said, what do you think you said in the gas chambers? He learned it. You could hear it, right? That level of evil that we're now witnessing, everyone in has a phone. It's all right there. It's 3 seconds away. The worst evil that there is, that this enemy of ours could possibly produce. There's even today a recording of one of the Mechablim, one of theirs, calling his mother and father.
Oh, I heard this today for the first time.
I'm so proud of me. Let me speak to mom. Let me speak to mom. This is a mother to a child, a parent to a child. Let me speak to mom and tell her we're dealing with an evil that maybe was always under the surface. We knew that. As theologians, we know that. As historians, we know that. As Israelis, we know that. And now here it is in front of us. You told me a very sweet story about your mom's friend, like you felt protected. What when you got home, you told your mom what was this that she
about my grandpa?
Yeah. And share that.
So my mom has someone that she speaks to from time to time, a religious spiritual woman, and she told my mom, the reason your daughter survived is because she has an angel watching over her. and she said, your daughter's father, David, who passed away, he was watching over her, and that's why she survived.
This is a woman who doesn't know you. Says to your mother, your daughter's father, David.
And it's not, so my father's alive, but my mom's father, who passed away when she was 18, his name is David. And my mom told her, and this woman didn't know that. This woman has only known my mom for maybe a few weeks, and she never told her any of that information. And my mom told her, that's my father. And I do feel like there must be some truth to that, that maybe my grandfather David was watching over me. And maybe that is why I survived. And that I do have an angel watching me.
You definitely have a myriad of angels watching you. And, you know, if I could be so bold as to, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm in good Jewish dialogue, why not, right? But your Shema Yisrael, really, I'm getting very emotional. Your Shema Yisrael was really heard. And you have a myriad of angels watching over you. They should all bless you with long life and strength and nachat and beauty and all the things you want in the world. You deserve all of it.
Thank you.
But we also know that the Shema Yisrael of every other Jew, even the ones that gave their lives, it was heard. It was heard. The heavens are crying. The questions that we're asking ourselves, the existential questions that we ask ourselves as Jews, are not new to us. We've been asking them forever, for millennia. We've been asking the questions, God, where were you in Be'eri? Where were you? Where were you? Were you in Auschwitz? How? I remember the late Chief Rabbi Jonathan Sachs was asked for a certain quote, and he quoted, I think, you're going to get me wrong, I'm sorry, I can't remember who he quoted, I think Isaac Bashevis Singer, I think he said, that the greatness of the Jewish people is our knowledge, is our sense of history. And he said he wants to differ, it's our sense of memory. It's not something that happened, it's something that we carry with us. And generations have been through this, and this is our time. This is our time. We tell our children, we're all gonna tell our children about this time we're in, and God willing, it will wrap up quickly with little pain. But this is our time to dig deep, our time to shine, our time to love and embrace. And I think the message out there, I mean, you're doing a stand-up job of being out there on the front lines, and it calls for people like you. No one's listening to us on the news channels. And so you're doing what the Almighty is asking of you, and He put you in this experience to do. And we all have to find that in our own voice, even if it's just deep inside, even if it's our own connection, because, you know, the world out there is not listening. We see that. We see. You're screaming loud, and it's amazing. But there's part of us which is that we're feeling very alone. On the other hand, maybe there's something so beautiful and so reassuring that we're alone together. Right? We're alone together. Natalie, you are. We're so glad that you're here. We're so glad that you're alive. We all are your biggest fans, and we want to support you on your mission. You can call on us for whatever you need. I want you to come back to Olam Manhattan. I want you to hang out. Just like be
I'll
here.
Definitely come
You're
back.
definitely coming back, right? And you know, whenever you need us, for whatever you need us for, you want us to show up to anything, we got your back. So do us the favor and let us be part of your journey.
One more thing I do want to say, though, is I just want everyone here to remember that as a Jew, you are never alone. We have survived so many atrocities, and we're never alone. But also, please don't let them take your Judaism away from you. Don't let them make you afraid, because that's really just letting them win. We have to stay loud, we have to stay strong, we have to stay proud, especially for all of those who lost their lives, because if we let them take that away from us, then it's almost as if that they died in vain, and that's the worst thing I can imagine. So always be proud of your Judaism, and always understand that you're not alone.
Can I make a challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want all of us, myself included, think of a way we can strengthen our Jewish identity, our Jewish pride. On the inside, on the outside. I'm not I'm going to leave the PR to Natalie and her team, okay? I'm on the inside also as a rabbi, spiritually, deeply. Natalie's a woman who's grown up in a Persian home in Great Neck, So talk of God and talk of that world and the spiritual world is like, it's like the breakfast. They eat it, Persians eat it for breakfast. Okay, as Ashkenazim have more problems with it sometimes. But Persians, it's the milk and the cereal that we're part of this people, and there's the Almighty looking at the Jewish people are immortal, will always survive. But if tonight 200 people in this room can find a way to move the needle, personally, Shabbat candles, Shema Yisrael, I'm going to teach about it in a moment if you stay for the class. Something, small thing, a few seconds, something you're willing to do. And because of tonight, because of Natalie's survival and you're being here with us and inviting us into your world, that can make a difference. And that difference will have residual, effects for you, for your children, right? Talk about compound interest, okay? Any investment in your Jewish life, in your Jewish identity, will pay you back 1,000-fold. It's a promise from the heavens. Maybe you'll send me a small email, text, whatever, on Instagram, whatever you do, say, because of this, because of tonight I started doing this, because tonight I did that, I feel that. Let's compile them, 200, needles moving closer to being more connected, more proud, more open. Could be a beautiful start to an amazing thing we have here. Okay, I want to thank Natalie.